everyone to the Outtakes Movie Podcast. I'm Sam and we're still going on our quest to go through every single movie ever made and objectively rank them best to worst of all time. I'm joined as always by my amazing team. Amelia, how's things going?
Things are great. I'm bored, but yeah.
Yeah. Joe, how about you?
Yeah. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Can't complain. I'm also bored.
Yeah, to be fair, I think this is going to be a running theme. Jacob?
Same old. So,
who's ready to rob some fucking books, man? Rob some fucking artwork. I'm excited about this.
Yeah,
So,
grab them books.
before we begin, I've not incriminated myself. We're referencing a movie. This is not to be used in evidence, officer or judge. We're talking about American Animals. This is a film podcast, and if you enjoy what we do here at the Outtakes, make sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, leave us a comment, let us know what you think of the show in the comments down below, and make sure to follow us all over on social media by searching for The Real Outtakes on Twitter and Instagram. So, this movie came out in 2018. I think it's the most recent movie we've covered on the show so far.
Wow.
So we're going to have a quick little look.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, 19th of January, right at the start of 2018. We're going to have a quick look at its release window and see what pop culture was like. Starting with the pop charts. So the first thing I picked up on, right, number 39. This shows you like what we just come off of. 2017 was losing its grip very quickly because Shape of You by Ed Sheeran was number 39 and it had dropped 35 places since the previous week. That fucking song must have been at number one for like half the year.
Yeah.
Did you like do something in that week? Did you piss someone off?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think Ed Sheeran has made a deal with the devil to secure like like for at least like 2 years he had to be number one perpetually. So
I mean, there's no other explanation, is there really?
none whatsoever. The thing is
That's the
I
only
wouldn't
logical
even
explanation.
mind. Some of his songs are alright, but they're never the ones that chart well.
See, because of
really
how
wanna-
popular his music is, it's too much for me now. I can't sit and listen to Ed Sheeran music anymore. I don't know.
I've not done it for a long time.
No.
Jacob, you liked that one he did with Bieber.
Yeah, it was good. Good song.
Oof.
I couldn't even tell you which one you're on about, honestly.
No.
The one about
I don't care.
a party and they want that one. See, Sam knows what it's called.
Yeah,
I don't.
they're at a
Which
party
one?
they don't
What is
want to
it?
be at,
think-
and neither do I. Ed and Justin, please go away. Number 29, Post Malone with Rockstar. Post, I think, is one of these like really divisive individuals. I think Post is the Marmite of pop music, you know, or at least of rap music. Like, you either love him and smoke lots of weed, or you've never smoked weed in your life and you just don't get it.
I like that one from the Spider-Verse film.
It's really
That's
good,
a
actually,
good
isn't it? Yeah.
That's a good one.
I like that one.
Sunflower.
Yeah, Sunflower.
Yeah.
I think his music is probably going to get like better and better as time goes on, to be honest with you. And then this song is, I actually think that's a pretty decent song, and I still listen to it from time to time. Number 25, Feel It Still, Portugal The Man, which is the weirdest name for an artist in the world. And then here's Sign of Where We Are. Number 25, 23, and 19. No, 23, 19, and 13 are The Greatest Show, Rewrite the Stars, and This Is Me from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, okay.
Dominated
come on.
the fucking chart.
Is that
3 places.
2018?
2018. It came out either the very start of 2018 or the very end of 2017. I can't remember which one it was. Everywhere. And these aren't even the like pop artist versions. These are the ones from the soundtrack.
Oh, the original
Yeah.
ones.
I'm sure that came out in 2017, because I was still living at home when it came out.
It must have been the
no,
back end.
I suppose it could have been because, I only moved out at the end of 2018. So yeah, fair enough. It could be.
And
it
then
lines up. The timelines line up. It's
number
fine.
1, proving my point potentially. Number 1, he dropped 35 places earlier. He's back at it again. River, Eminem, and Ed Sheeran, which I think is the worst song
so
either of them
weird.
have done. They've come together to create the worst piece of media they'll ever make.
I'd
not listened to that one.
I don't think I've known it, yeah.
Don't.
Okay.
It's atrocious. So popping over to the world of video games, on the 19th, we had 2 releases. Actual games this time, not iOS waifu dating simulators. We had
Shame.
Kirby Battle Royale on the 3DS, which is not what it sounds
Nice.
like. It's not like Fortnite, it's just a brawler.
Oh, what?
Although, do you know what? I would play like a Battle Royale where everyone is like a version of Kirby and you've got to suck around all your environment to gain abilities. That probably sounds really odd to someone who's never even seen what like Kirby is before.
Yeah, you need to know what Kirby does, or else it sounds more like one of those waifu games.
And the other one, a game from one of my favourite franchises in the world, Digimon Cyber Sleuth, came out on the PS4.
Oh my god.
Good God.
How are they still making content?
Yeah. I tell you what, I've not played a Digimon game since I was very, very young. However, when the last Pokemon game came out, a lot of people on Twitter swore blind that the last Digimon game was better. And I don't know if that's just hipsters or if it's people actually being like, hang on a minute, we've all dismissed this thing and it's gotten cool. Regardless, not important, because we're here to talk about a movie that I really hope more people start seeing. American Animals. Thank you for recommending it, Joe, and take it away.
Yeah. So, as I said last week, this film is a first for us. 2 firsts, actually. So, it's not only the first film based on true events that we've done, it's also the first documentary. If you can call this a documentary, I think you can.
Docudrama.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could. So, this film went straight under my radar in 2018. It wasn't until I found it on Amazon Prime, like a week ago, that I watched it. I don't even know why I watched it, to be honest. It was like 5 a.m, and I knew I wasn't going to sleep, so I figured, why not? I'm going to watch a film. I watched Apocalypse Now for the same reason. So, it's based on a true story, and it's about the Transit book heist, which took place in December of 2004. Basically, 4 guys from Kentucky attempted to steal very rare and incredibly expensive book from Transylvania University. I don't know what I was going to say, but it wasn't that. So skip 14 years later, one of the guys released a book about his experiences, and Bart, Layton directs a film. Both of them are called American Animals, and that's what we're going to be doing today, as you said, Samuel. Right, so first thing, before we get into the whole stuff, did we like the film? A simple yes or no answers. I want to wait until later.
Yes, I like the movie.
Yeah, so, same. I enjoyed this film. I don't know whether it's because I went into it kind of like expecting it to be just, like a random heist film, It's not going to have anything new. It's just going to kind of be like something that's, you watch, you don't really speak about again. But I was pleasantly surprised when I watched this film. I was like, not bad. I want to start with the director first. So the director is a guy called Bart Layton, and he's a documentary filmmaker. And American Animals is actually his second feature film that he made. I don't know if you guys ever heard of his first one. It's called The Imposter. Came out in 2012. No. So essentially, that one is about. Say again. It's filmed in the same way that this one is. So it's interviews with the real people, and then he gets actors to come in and kind of like recreate them. That's kind of like his thing. So that one is about a French imposter who interprets a boy from Texas who went missing in 1994, and he essentially convinces the family that he's their son. Like,
I remember hearing about this story in the news. Maybe that's why I feel like I've seen this movie, but I haven't. Yeah,
I was the same when I was reading about this. I've never seen The Imposter, but when I was reading about the story, I was like, oh yeah, I've definitely heard this story before. He actually won a BAFTA for that film as well, so that's nice for him. Layton also created a show for Channel 5 called Banged Up Abroad. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it or heard of it.
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a few episodes and it's pretty good. I've not watched it for a few. It's one of those things you watch when it's really early in the morning and you know you should go to bed, but a party
just the reruns.
Like, nah. Yeah, and it's like 3 in the morning. You're like, this thing seems okay, and you put it on, and you're like, no, it was all right. So
they reserve a very particular type of television for that time of day, don't they?
They do, yeah, they do. But yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, that Banged Up Abroad is about. Well, again, it's a similar thing to this, isn't it? He interviews people, telling the stories about what happened when they were arrested abroad, and then he recreates the stories with actors. It's a very effective model, and I've seen quite a few things that do it. But then in 2018, he released American Animals to pretty good reviews. Nothing amazing, but it definitely definitely not bad. So I actually had to do a little bit of extra effort than normal to try and find the budget for this. So the only budget I could find was $3 million, which, considering what we normally say for budgets is, pretty low.
That's nothing basically.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Especially modern day, feature film standards. Does anyone want to take a stab at how much it made in its opening weekend?
It's gonna be really low. It's definitely gonna be low.
It got a theatrical release, didn't it?
Was it limited or was it a proper theatrical release?
So it did get a proper theatrical release. I'll tell you, it was in the cinemas for 30 weeks.
Okay. I'm gonna go very low. I'm gonna go
But yeah, this just opening weekend.
150,000.
That is low.
Just opening weekend?
Just opening weekend.
I'll go a little bit higher.
That is, but
I think it got either close to or literally just above $1 million. I have no clue.
750,000. Just below $1 million.
So Sam is the closest, and he's still high. In its opening weekend, it made 135,000. Well, just under 135,000.
Wow.
But hold that thought, because here's a question we never ask when we talk about the budget: how many cinemas do we think it opened in its opening weekend?
Just in America or worldwide?
It just opened in America in its opening weekend, so just in America.
I feel like
however many are in Kentucky.
I was going to say, I don't think I got enough information about how many American cinemas there are to answer this question.
I mean, you can imagine there's quite a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, America, it's a big place, isn't
100.
35.
See, I'm going to go more of I was going to go high again and say 500, but I'm going to go 350.
So, none of you are close.
Oh.
So, when I tell you the number of how many cinemas, think back to how much they've made, right? And then be like, that's how much they've made in 4 cinemas in its opening weekend.
Sorry.
4 cinemas.
You can count the amount of cinemas on your hand. 4 cinemas, and it made 135,000 in just 4 cinemas.
You could literally count the amount of people that saw that using those numbers.
Probably, yeah. It's mad, that, isn't it? It's nowhere near its budget, but 135,000 in just 4 cinemas is pretty good,
that is quite good.
That's drawn quite a crowd, I think.
See, this is the question I kind of wanted to ask, is because this is a film for film as well, and
it is. Yeah.
They're pretty unique. They always create these just weird, experimental, cool little projects.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, the answer is yes to a degree, always. But do you think it matters as much for these sorts of films to make a profit? Obviously, you don't want to lose money on a project ever, but do you think it really needs to blow its budget out?
I don't think so. I mean, something I don't want to say as small as 3 million, because I would take 3 million any day. But considering you get films that have got budgets of hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever, a film that only has a budget of $3 million, I think that's a fair. You know, you're not expecting to get your money back, are you? Really?
I guess not. Yeah.
Like you're not going into it, and I mean, it did eventually make its budget back in the 30 weeks that it. I don't have the exact number, but I know it's around $4 million. So it was. It did eventually open into 339 cinemas across the world, and yeah, it eventually made it back after the 30 weeks it had been released. But yeah, I find it mad that it actually, when you first hear how much it made, you're like, oh, that's really not a lot. But like knowing that it's only open in 4 cinemas, it must have done. It did pretty well for It
clearly created a buzz that definitely. I missed entirely, but enough of a buzz.
Same.
Where were those 4 cinemas? Were they were all in America somewhere? Were they all in one state?
I don't know. I'm gonna assume that it's in LA because it's LA. Like I was curious to see what the requirements for. The requirements for being like literally just nominated for one. It has to, at least. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different requirements, and some others cancel others out. Either do this or this kind of thing. But one of them is it has to have been shown in an LA cinema for at least 7 days in a row, and it had to have been paid admission. And people had to have gone to it and watched it and paid to see the movie. That's one of them. So I'm going to assume... I mean, I don't know if they had Oscar goals with this, but you'd think they would open it in LA as kind of... I mean, at least one of the cinemas in
just
LA.
In case.
Do you know about...
Yeah, it's kind of like a... Because, I mean, I assume it seems like a festival movie.
Yeah.
This seems like something that would be at a festival. So
most Film 4 movies do. Like, I've just looked up the Film 4 movies, and all of them are ones that you look at. Like, when it comes out, you're like, and then you hear it's really good, and then you go and watch it, and you're like, oh yeah, shit, actually, that was quite good. Pretty much all these Film 4 movies are that.
Joe.
The only one I can think, like, straight off my head is Attack the Block, and that one's fucking sick.
Attack the Block's a great movie, yeah.
Isn't thingy... Trainspotting's a Film 4 movie.
It is, yeah.
It is as well.
Shaun of the
Fire
Dead
was Film 4.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead. 12 Years a Slave, The Favourite.
Was Film 4.
Yeah, Slumdog. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing.
I don't know that one. That's a film.
Killing of the Sacred Deer, 127 Hours. Carol, The Lobster. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. This is England.
Okay.
Joe, do you know about the box office weird trivia about this movie? Because it's one of the things that I did read.
I did not.
Okay, so it's Film 4 and Movie Pass are the 2 companies that came together to produce and distribute this movie. Apparently, Movie Pass, there's like a little bit of a joke within the industry that Movie Pass buy up a lot of tickets for their own movies to try and inflate the numbers, kind of thing. So I don't know if this actually does make up a decent quantity of that opening weekend. But apparently, according to its own reports, here we are. I'm actually giving you the answer. According to its own reports, Movie Pass members made up to 25 to 35% of the film's opening weekend audience, which is quite big.
Okay,
considering that it only did 100 and however much, quarter or over a quarter.
Yeah, so is their own.
It
money.
made probably just under $100,000, maybe.
I guess so. When you factor in that,
maths probably something like that. Probably 100. It would have been around 100 just under $100,000 of actual people going to watch it, which I suppose is less impressive.
That's still cinemas. $25,000 in each cinema. How many weeks did you say it was open for? 30.
I mean, that was just the opening weekend. It was open for 30 weeks, But that's still a considerable buzz of people going watching it. That's still people having multiple showings a day and going watching. People go into all of them, I guess. I mean, I don't know what LA cinema ticket prices are. Yeah, LA cinema ticket prices are like, but.
Shall I see if I can, while you were talking, I'll see if I can get onto an American, cinema thing.
Do it, yeah.
Get on, AMC
stupid expensive. Especially in LA.
Let's see if I can get it to work.
I mean, you probably can't buy tickets right now.
No,
probably not. I reckon
see
it'd
the
be like
prices
$20 or something. Something expensive. Because
Isn't the whole thing in America that you buy a movie ticket? You don't buy a ticket to see a movie. You buy a movie ticket, and that gets you into a whatever screening you want. Isn't that the deal?
That is mad. That.
Oh, it might be.
That's so you pay for admission into a cinema to go and then pick a thing.
I think so.
Just be like, that looks good. We'll go in that one. That sounds pretty thing. If you do that if you just walk into a random one over here, I mean, no one really. There's no guards or anything. They're not going to stop you.
No.
But, you know. Right. What was it? Yeah. Right. Okay. So the actual film itself, I'm gonna kind of do it like a little differently. Not that much differently. I said that in the beginning of writing this that I was going to. It did turn out to be not that different. But instead of going it like scene by scene like we normally do, I'm gonna kind of like do a general overview of the story, and then we'll talk about certain scenes.
Okay.
So what did everyone think of the opening?
Loved it.
Very Joker. I was like, oh, we're watching Joker again. Nice. Because I'm putting on like the face makeup and like doing the eyebrows or whatever. I was like, ooh, this looks dramatic and artsy. Kind of like what Joker was.
I particularly liked how the interviews they used, they always, for an interview, framed it in a really unconventional way. So when the actual movie plot kicks in with Spencer's interview, it's like actual interview to get into school, it's not immediately clear that isn't one of the like normal documentary interview subjects. Like it takes you a couple of seconds because he's framed with this like really like he's on like the total lower third. There's all this space, and previously some of the interview subjects had also been framed like that. So it was quite interesting to be like, okay, that's an odd framing for a documentary, but it's normal framing for a movie. So when the two cross over, it's like it's not immediately clear. I liked it.
See, I always find with things like this, there's a show called on Netflix. It's called True Detective, I think. No,
there is a show called that.
Yeah, that's not it though. True Detective's the one with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, isn't it? No, it's called Real Detective, and it's essentially exactly like this, where they get real detectives to tell stories of like the worst cases, and then they create those with actors in the style of Real Detective. True Detective, fucking hell. It's shot and designed and all the stuff it's shot, and it's my only thing with it is, even with that, like it's really good. Like it's I recommend you guys watch it. It's very good. And it's got like bloody Michael Madsen is in. No, is that right? The guy from like Kill Bill and the Tarant. Yeah. Anyway, he's in an episode of it, and there's some really good episodes of it. But you can tell the difference. They don't try and blend the interviews with the actual story like they do in this. So it's very like you've got the interview, the person talking, and then you've got the kind of a dramatized recreation of it, and it's very separate, and they purposely make them separate. Whereas with this, they'll blend them extremely well to a point where it's very hard to tell where the interviews start. Well, I mean, it's not hard to tell, but you know, it's one big thing, and that's what I really liked about it. But especially the opening of the film, it's definitely one of the better film openings I've seen. You know, they kind of build a suspense from like the start with the interviews of the parents and the teachers. You know, talking about the main cast, talking about the four boys, and it kind of makes it seem like they've done this horrible thing. Like, oh, they were so nice.
100%.
They were so nice, and I can't believe they'd ever do that and stuff like this. And you kind of like, it grips you like, what have these
Who did they kill?
Exactly. Like, because I mean, I had no idea. Like, to be honest, I got halfway through this film, and I was convinced. I thought that it wasn't a real thing, that both versions of the characters were actors, and that it was just something they're making up. It wasn't until I googled it and realised it was a real thing, even though it does say the real Spencer Rangard and things like that. I kind of got, because it says at the beginning, doesn't it, this is not based on a real story, and then it gets rid of the this is not, is not, or whatever. So I was kind of, I couldn't decide. But, yeah. So, I mean, the opening of the film's really good. It drags you, it catches you right in there, you know what I mean? Like, I was watching it, kind of like, with the intention of being like, I'll watch the beginning, and if I'm not that gripped by it, I'll watch something else. I was pretty gripped within, like, minutes of this film coming on.
They kind of drip feed you just the right amount of information, don't you? That like you're interested in what they've done, but they don't go into any details. So it's like, I mean, even the revelation that later on in the movie, that scene that you start with, which you think is the heist, is not the heist. It just made it all like really work. Because then after that, you're like, holy shit! So what's gonna happen now? Like I was led to believe that this was the third act, but nah, it's way cool.
It's insane. I love it. But yeah, so the story starts with Spencer Rangard attending Transylvania University. Sounds like fucking that film with Adam Sandler, doesn't it? You know, the one where he plays the vampire. Hotel Transylvania. So he's an artist, and he tells us during one of the opening interviews that a lot of artists have some kind of life-altering experience, and he wanted one of those too. So during the induction to the university library, he's shown this kind of incredibly expensive first edition art book called Birds of America, and it's by an American painter called John James Audubon. Yeah, that's right. John James Audubon. And the book is kept in this case in the library's special collections room, and the librarian, Betty Jean Gooch.
BJ.
I'm going to call her Betty to avoid confusion. Claims...
Call her Gooch, come on. Surely.
The Gooch.
No, I'll call her Jean. It's all good. Jean.
Goochmeister. Can we have that?
Goochmeister. Alright, fine. We'll call Goochmeister. Right.
Yes!
So, Goochmeister claims in the film that the book is one of the most valuable in existence. Not sure how much I believe that, but we then find out that it's worth $12 million. I'm pretty sure there must be books that are worth more than that from, like, fucking the Renaissance or other parts of
Let's do a Google. Keep talking. Oh, also, really quick, I found out the average price of a ticket in California.
Yeah.
You're looking at $7 for a morning performance, so like $5, and then $12 for an evening, afternoon, which is about $9. So there you
So
go.
the morning one is basically a why are you not at work? You know what? You obviously don't have a job. Have it cheaper kind of ticket.
Oof.
That's what I like to think that was. My God. Oh, I wish they did that here. That'd be well good. I'd go to the cinema. I'd go to the cinema all the time in the morning if you did that.
They do student prices,
Mate, Joe, movie tickets are literally £5 here.
Yeah, I know, in view. I get it.
Sometimes you get
everywhere
like 2
else
for
is so
one.
Expensive. Yes, true. I mean, the thing is though, right? It's mad, right? When I was living at home, I had to go to Odeon. I either went to Cineworld or Odeon in Liverpool. Both of those are expensive as shit.
Yeah.
I come here to the glorious land of Manchester, where cinema tickets are £5. What's that about?
So good.
Like, why is everywhere not £5? I go to cinema for everything.
Cineworld back home, where like just standard, like it wasn't even like it was opening night, IMAX 3D, nothing. Just standard entry is like £13.
It's ridiculous.
What?
Crazy.
What?
Madness. I was blown away by the amazing ticket prices here. It was amazing. I loved it. And now I go to the cinema for everything. But American Animals. So Spencer tells his mate Warren Lipkick. What is it? I think I've missed some letters off his name. Isn't it Warren Lipkick or something like that?
I think Warren is fine.
Warren. He tells his mate Warren about the book and the library's lack of security around it. Warren kind of interprets this as Spencer suggesting that they should steal it, and this is where the plan starts to form. It suggests that maybe at first they were just considering doing it and they never really had any plan of actually going through with it. But Warren goes and sees one of his buddies, and he asks if he knows anyone who's willing to buy stolen art, a fence. A term I learnt from Red Dead Redemption. Thank you very much, Rockstar. Turns out his mate does know someone, and he gives him an email. So after Warren emails the fence, they travel to New York in hopes of meeting the guy. So I just want to mention something about the film that I do really like. It's the way they kind of use the fact that the story's being told by two different people.
Yes.
I mean, and it kind of shows us both versions. So, like, for example, in the previous scene, when Spencer, the real Spencer, remembers a conversation taking place in Warren's car, while Warren remembers the conversation taking place at a party. So it kind of switches between the two during the conversation, and it does it so like, I love it when he's like, they're sat on the wall and he goes, turn in here, and it cuts to them in the car.
Yes!
It's just little things like that. It's so good.
That's the one as well, isn't it? Where the following sequence is where Spencer goes into the shop, and then the real life Warren appears in the car.
Yeah.
And the actor asks him, is this how it really happened? And Warren said, it's how Spencer remembers it happened. When that happened, I turned to Charlotte. I was like, that was cool. I had to verbalize it. I had to audibly that was fucking awesome.
It's things like this, the way it uses the way that both guys are telling the story, that makes me think that bit at the beginning where it says this is not based on a true story, this is it's kind of like, I mean, obviously something happens at the end, and we're told something at the end, which also explains that. But it's this idea that it uses this guy. We're telling this story, but we're getting the story from two different guys.
Yeah.
We don't know which part's are true, kind of thing. I just love it so much.
It's crazy. This. I think the unreliable narrator is like a kind of untapped gold mine in films. Really, video games are pretty good at it, but I think films could get more out of it as well. I was telling Jacob and Amelia earlier before you got on, Joe, that I found this website where it's bizarre. It's called Plugged In, right? Where it reviews media, but it does it all from the perspective of like anything that's good is like child-friendly family values, and everything that's bad is violence and swearing and anything like that. They are docked points off a movie. And
is it like legit though? Like, are they taking the piss?
No, it's legit. No, it's legit. I tried searching, like, they keep it up to date. I went into the game section. They just put up a review for Predator Hunting Grounds. Surprise, surprise. Ooh. They do not like that game. I tried searching for a couple of other things, and it's consistently like that, right? I found it because if you just put in American Animals into Google and it comes up with the reviews at the side, that was the only one that seemed negative in some way. So the way that their website is structured is it says positive elements, and then it breaks down and it'll be like sexual content, foul language, violence, and they are all negative, and then other negative things. So it breaks them all down of like, these are all the bad things. And in other negative elements, it brought up the concept of unreliable narrator, and it was like, the boys can't agree on what really happened, so the audience is left confused. I was like, what?
Oh my god, it's the whole point of the film.
Yeah, like that was a negative element. Apparently, is unreliable, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this was the coolest part of the movie.
Did you check to see what the worst rated film of all time was?
No, they didn't give them scores or anything. It's just like they put at the end whether or not they did or didn't like it. I checked.
That's a shame.
They'd watched Adventure Time, and they really didn't like Adventure Time. It said something like, people of all ages are coming together to watch Adventure Time together, but whether or not people should do that is another question. And then it ended by saying, Adventure Time might not make kids hide under the sofa from wolves and witches, but it might make parents afraid of the television.
Oh my god. You know what makes me really sad about that as well? There's going to be some mum somewhere reading those and using that to determine whether or not she's going to show her kids something or let her kid play something. And then that kid's not going to be able to...
this website.
It should be like our thing now, yeah.
From now on,
I want to do that. I want to do that. Oh man, I feel bad for that kid.
If they did give them scores, what do you reckon the most horrific film?
Oh, good question.
They'd probably hate Tarantino. Yeah, they'd hate
Tarantino movie, definitely.
Good God, he'd be the devil. But you know for a fact, these... Oh, God, don't...
That's fair, yeah.
You know for a fact that people who are reading and possibly writing these blogs are the ones that are, like, protesting against, like, the fact that we're having to isolate in America.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Like...
I saw this thing on Twitter before, and it was the people protesting outside the White House, and the protesting saying that the coronavirus is a hoax to try and stop Trump from getting in for another term.
Oh my god.
And I was like, oh my god. Imagine being like those people.
Did you see Trump's like most recent tweet for today? It was like, happy Cinco de Mayo. oh, the best tacos are served in Trump Tower. I love Hispanics.
Oh my god.
I can't believe he's real. It baffles me sometimes.
Please,
all these
I had to check to
take us
like,
back to the world of movies to make me forget about the horrifying real world we live in. Jesus.
The reality.
What are you on about? You guys haven't injected disinfectant yet? Whoa.
All of them doing? Bloody
Shit.
addicted to it now. Oh, man. Right. Okay.
Let's not get political.
So... Right. So, yeah, anyway, right. So the guys... They go to New York, and turns out the guy that they meet isn't actually the real Fence. It does that thing again where you know one guy thinks he remembers him looking one way and he remembers the other guy looking the other way. It's cool. It finds out the real Fence is actually in the Netherlands and only does business face to face. So obviously they both can't afford to go to the Netherlands. They kind of pool the money together, and Warren jets off to Amsterdam where he meets said Fence. The Fence tells him that he'll take the paintings as long as they have authentication from a famous auction house. So they decide they're going to have to bring someone else in on the plan. They're going to pull this off. So enter Eric Borsig, the brains of the organization, plan, crew, brains of the crew.
I'd like to say, by the way, while we're at this point, all three of these guys in real life at the points they are now are very charming men.
Yeah, they are.
Like, they're all quite funny, good-looking guys, and by that point, I really do genuinely believe that where it says at the start, I'd never see them doing things like this, because they don't. It doesn't same. Even they are not bad guys. It's very clear that they are not bad people.
I could kind of see the real Warren being the way he is.
That's the thing.
The film.
Yeah, I think
but the rest of them.
A lot of all their backgrounds for when they're doing the interview and they're in front of the camera and they had something behind them. You could tell Spencer's in his garage, or this other guy was just in a room somewhere. But with Warren, it had this indistinct brick background, and I was like, is he in prison still?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought that was really well done.
Isn't there a bit where he just goes to a neutral white background or something?
Very briefly, they show off different colours, when they're doing the Reservoir Dogs reference. I love when we first meet the real Warren. The very first impression you get is him showing off that tattoo, that terrible tattoo he's got.
Oh, yeah.
This is where he rolls his sleeve and it's this T-Rex trying to reach a ceiling.
I'd forgotten about that bit.
Incredible.
Oh, man. I mean, out of all of them, you can... I think the casting was very well done in this.
Yes.
Evan Peters plays 100%. Warren very well.
Quicksilver from
heck yeah,
very good.
The X-Men movies, yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. What was up? Oh yeah. So they go get the boy Eric. Was it Borsig, and he kind of comes in and tells them that they're gonna have to do this thing during the day when the library's open because they're not gonna be able to get in to the library. So that's when they devise a cunning plan. So this bit, what did everyone think of this kind of Ocean's 11-esque kind of heist scene?
Funny.
Where everything goes perfectly.
God, it's so funny.
The book.
Yeah.
But that's the thing though, isn't it?
So
because if I was going to plan a heist, I'd look at a heist movie and be like, well, how have they done it? And there's loads of those videos online, aren't there, where it's a jewel thief watches GTA. That's one I've seen.
Yeah.
And he's like, they'll get parts of it right, but really, most of it's not how you do a heist in any way. So I think it's funny that they've acknowledged that. I do think it was good.
Yeah. They perfectly taser. What did we say her name was?
The Goochmeister.
Goochmeister.
They perfectly taser the Goochmeister. Have a wheelchair ready and throw it. They're throwing the books around and they're doing it all to Elvis, and it's pretty sick. And it's pretty great. In my notes, instead of saying. They're wearing matching suits. This is a quote from my notes. Instead of putting Elvis, I've put, and it all goes perfectly while evil plays in the background.
Evil.
Nice.
I mean,
nice.
How tired
I
were
must
you?
have had some opinion on Elvis. A very 1950s elderly person's view on Elvis. The devil's music that these kids are listening to.
I think this movie's little sequences like this are, I think, the perfect little microcosm of how I think the best form of satire is when it's done lovingly. It's very easy to be mean and be funny, but it's way harder and much more impressive to take the piss of something while pulling off like a perfect version of that thing, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what this was.
It's weirdly, because I actually thought going into this that scenes like this was what this is what I expected of the film. Kind of like, you know, heist music where they're all in sync doing stuff. I expected this from the film, and when it came up, I didn't realise that that's what I was expecting. Well, no, I did, but they hid it. They done it in such a good way. The context of the scene is so good, and it works so well that I'm not even sad that it's in there. Like, I'm not even sad that it's actually, because it's done purposely to take, I don't want to say take the piss out of like Ocean's 11 style, but it is, isn't it? It's very kind of like fantasizing that they're going to be really perfect at doing this, and they're going to do it like that. It's going to go no faults at all. It's just so good. And then it just kind of, you know, cut short when Eric jumps in. He's like, nah, it's not going to work. Nah. So good. But, you know, through doing this, they realise that they're going to need, you know, 2 people in the room, someone downstairs, and they're going to need a driver as well. So they get the next and final member of the crew. It's a proper GTA heist now. Crew heist. They bring in Charles Thomas Allen, the second, or Chaz. And Chaz is the driver. So we come to the day of the robbery, right? We have the scene where they're all sat in someone's basement room. I think it's Warren's room basement thing, isn't it? And he's going through the plan, and you know they decide that Warren's going to be the one to taser the gooch. And
ow!
Don't try that at home, kids.
Ow!
Oh god! Oh my god! So it comes to the day of the robbery.
Little nip.
And the crew has an appointment to go view the books. And they've all decided to dress as old men to avoid suspicion. I legit, after seeing the poster for this film, I legit thought they were going to go in suits and animal masks.
Yeah, same.
So I was very surprised when they went as old men, and I was like, it's not, but you know, it's a pretty good idea, to be fair. I'm curious to know how the real guys managed to get prosthetics good enough to make them look like old men in real life.
Not Halloween makeup.
Because they didn't really use, like, what was the whole thing? Wasn't the whole point that they were trying to make their like skin like sticky and then massage it?
Yeah,
so
they
it
made
wrinkles?
it like kind of they used the makeup to make it look like wrinkly and pale, and then but it's the beard, if anything.
Oh yeah, Warren's beard's really well done.
Yeah. And the wigs and everything, like, I don't even know, like, can you buy that?
I can only assume they've done it online, like, because think about it. I always keep thinking this movie's from, like, the 90s, and it's not. It's 2004, so you might have been able to have got, like, really good, like...
Maybe,
like, short, like, small film prosthetics or whatever, you know what I mean? Like...
I mean,
so they might have
Kentucky,
been.
though. So...
I feel like the whole plan of being... Because they looked so conspicuous when they walked in. Just 4 old guys, like... They stick out like a sore fucking
Yeah,
thumb.
they do.
The whole blending in idea is not... If they're sat by themselves or if they went in one at a time...
I know, I never see 4 old men walking into a library together.
Sounds like the start of a joke.
I was just about to say, it sounds like a shit joke.
Yeah. But yeah, right. Yeah, so they all go in, and right, this scene is like, this robbery and the other one, but this one, is where the film really shines, I think. Like, I was sweating during this scene. As they were walking in, I was watching like, oh, fucking hell. Like, they all went into position, and like, Spencer was really like freaking out downstairs because he thought someone was watching him. And then Warren goes up to the room, and, you know, he goes up and you see the expression on his face, but they don't tell us straight away that something's gone. Like, you know something's wrong because of the expression, but then it shows everyone else first. And you're like, shit, what's going on? They're all like getting ready and stuff. And then it shows that kind of like, that thing where it zooms in and you see the librarian in the room, but there's like 3 other people in the room too. And it's like as soon as you see it, you're like, oh shit, like I don't know. There's a part of me was like sweating at the thought of like, oh no, they're gonna have to bail. They're gonna have to bail. So
Do you know what I love about that? Genuinely, is like that's the elements that let you know for certain that this is a real thing that happened, because you could go through all this, you could try and do all the research and try and do all the planning and find out where the cameras are, but school children cannot like interpret when staff are going to have a meeting or when other people are going to book. Do you know what I mean? Like it'll totally bypass your thought process.
Yeah, I literally, it didn't even like, when I was watching it, I know it's you're not meant to think, but you do kind of think, what could possibly go wrong kind of thing. And the fact that there would be a meeting in there just completely didn't even like occur to me at all.
Yeah.
Like you just naturally assume that the room's going to be empty. And you see it and you're like, oh shit. Problem. But anyway, they bail, don't they? They all fuck off. And, annoyed by the failure, Warren, sets up another meeting for the following day. So they could try again, but Spencer, he's decided that the first, failed attempt is kind of a warning for him, and he backs out. So right, this is a section of my episode that I'm quite excited about. Right, before we continue with the story, we've had them fail, stealing something from a school. I want to take a moment to ask everyone a personal question. Right, what's the worst thing everyone's stolen from school? I want to hear. I mean,
just from school.
Genuine, like yeah. I mean, if it's genuinely incriminating, then maybe maybe think of something else.
I've got a story here, but it's so lame that I kind of want to hear other people's first, because I assume I would have the worst one.
I mean, I don't know. Mine's going back a couple of years, to be fair.
The only one I can think of, right? I'll do mine because it's really quick and shit. Debenhams, right, with my mum, and we're at the counter, she's paying for something in the beauty section, and there's a hamper with testers in it, and I'm like, oh, way up. Cheers.
Nice.
It's only till I come in the next, I can't remember, we must have gone in the same week or the week after or whatever. I look at it, and I read it again, and it's an advertisement for a hamper that you win, and that's representing the full size thing. I was like, I've stolen something from a display. And 12-year-old me is like shitting it, like, I'm on camera, oh god, you know what I mean? But and genuinely, that's the only thing I can think of.
You're returning to the scene of the crime.
Wow. Being cocky, walking, looking.
It can't be that shit.
There's like a picture of you behind the tills.
Amazing.
I don't think I've any stolen something maliciously. It's mainly just been out of convenience.
Oh right.
So self-scan checkouts. When I had I hadn't taken a basket around with me. I had loads of stuff in my hands, and I just sort of put it down on the side where you go to scan stuff. And I was scanning everything through, but there was something I picked up, didn't scan, and just sort of moved it to a different area of where you put your shopping bag down to get to something underneath it because it was heavier, so I had to pack it first or whatever. So then I did finish and pay, blah blah blah, paid, grabbed the thing that I hadn't scanned, put it in my bag, and just walked off. And it wasn't until I'd opened the packet, I think it was a packet of Skittles, and I was walking through the car park out of the Asda, I was like, I didn't fucking pay for these.
Did the alarm not go off as you walked out?
It was a packet of Skittles, Joe. That was the only thing I hadn't scanned.
Yeah,
so whatever it was.
It's still a packet of Skittles.
I don't put security tags on bags of Skittles.
No, but it detects the barcode as you go through. Right.
No, it doesn't.
What you're telling me is, right?
It doesn't.
It's magnetic or something.
Right, so what you're telling me is I can go to Asda tomorrow and steal some Skittles from him.
Do you know what? I'll tell you yes, because I have a story, and I won't say who it was, but someone I used to go to school with.
It's
when
you.
we went yeah. No, because I remember being told this and just being horrified at the fact that they did this. So I was in sixth form, they'd gone to college, and they turned around and said to me, yeah, we go to the local Asda again, and there was a checkout upstairs, a self-checkout. And apparently, they'd go upstairs with their meal deal, and then just come down and walk out. They wouldn't pay for it. But because there was a checkout upstairs, if you walked out with your stuff, they wouldn't. I was like, what? So
yeah, the scanners are just for security tags and stuff. Joe. That's why sometimes you can walk into a shop and the beepers go off. It's not after barcodes. Sometimes whatever you've got in your bag is interfering with the...
Are you having a laugh? So this
no,
whole time,
genuinely.
I could have been nicking stuff from Tesco.
We all work in a shop.
Don't say
Joe,
that out
how many
loud.
times have you literally scanned a barcode and it's like not happened for like a good 20
I'm trying to
seconds?
see if I've got anything with it on
These
it.
nebulously rectangle-shaped things do not scan barcodes. Telling
Would
you.
it scan barcode? Would it X-ray through your bags?
I don't know. I assumed there was like a field or something that it crossed. Oh man, my mind is blown. I'm gonna start looking stuff.
Don't say that.
Don't do that. You know when like, you go and buy like a bottle of vodka and they have to take the magnetic tag off it. That's not so that you can open the bottle and actually have it. It's because that will bleep when you go through.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that what they were for, but I assumed that the barcodes or something did something as well. There's been times where I've walked out with something and it's set the alarm. Oh, I suppose if I paid for it, that makes no sense. Oh, fucking hell. Well, this has been an informative day.
Remind me never to do a heist with Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't. Alright. Saying that though, actually, you know what? Before I tell my story, I want to hear Sam's story.
Yeah,
on, Sam.
sure.
What's your story?
So, I stole from my primary school was it one or two?
Whatever it is from a primary school.
I think it was one, like drafts, like checkers piece, right?
Nice.
And I stole it by accident, right? Because it was like wet break, and I was playing drafts with someone, and the little like pool of what pieces had been taken were interfering with someone else's space. They're like, can you like move that? And there wasn't anywhere to put the other stuff, so I just picked the piece up that I'd taken and I put it in my pocket so it was out the way, and then forgot about it and found it that night, and my like heart sank. I was like, oh my god, I'm a common thief. I'm in so much trouble. Like, the real talk, it shit me up so badly that as soon as I discovered it, I ran. There was this like cabinet in my living room back home, and there was a couple of pictures underneath the like door section, so I hid the draft piece behind one of the pictures so that my mum wouldn't find it. Right, the real talk. There was a couple of times where I tried to like grab it in the morning without her noticing so I could return it to school, and failed. I was like, I can't go near it, otherwise she'll know I'm up to something. So I like left it, and to this day I have not told her that it is there.
It's still there.
That's amazing.
So guilt-ridden that I cut one draft piece that I stole on accident. Yeah.
Like,
Love
I
that.
legit thought when you said that you took this piece and you went somewhere, I thought you were going to say you went to like a river near your house and was like looking at it and was like,
Destroy the evidence.
you have brought me so much grief. No one can ever know what I've done, and just throws it into the river. Gets rid of the evidence. No, but right. See, at least you when you nicked something from primary, at least you did it accidentally. My story, right, is about a heist that I pulled in reception.
Oh my god.
Which for non-British listeners is just preschool, you know, before you go to the big
4
school.
years old.
So, this is my story. I don't know if you guys ever remember, there was a show in the 90s and they revived it in like the 2007 or something. It was called, It was called Biker Mice from Mars.
Yes.
You guys.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Yeah. So, right. And when we were in reception, we had like action figures of the characters. At this point, I'd not actually watched it or seen it or had any idea what it was. All I knew was that it was a cool biker mouse, and I wanted it, so I took it home. But it was not that simple, you see, because this was a big. This figure was like about this big.
Yeah, I remember
it was
them
a
being
big. I
big,
couldn't
yeah.
just stick it in my pocket and walk out with it. I had to plan this. And this isn't like a spur of the moment thing either. I didn't see this mouse one day and be like, right, I'm taking that home. Well, I mean, I did, but I didn't take it home that day. So this is what happened, right? I planned it at home, and I was like, right, this is what's going to happen. Right, so we were on the playground, and I located the piece, and was like, right, playing with it to make sure no one else got it. I planned this out in my head. Well, planned it out. I planned it out. I come to reception the next day, and break time comes around. I locate my target, my piece that I'm stealing, and I wait because every single dinner time, one of my mates, he would always go to the toilet every single dinner time without fail, and I knew this. I knew this, so. I waited until I go, because when you went in reception, when you went to the toilet, you needed to have the teacher going with you, right? So I waited for him to ask her to go to the toilet, which he did. Then the teacher and him went inside, leaving the door to the building open and free for me to go in. So, were
you sneaking behind them, like tiptoeing?
Right, yeah. So she took him into the toilet, and I snuck into the classroom behind him, right? So at this point, I knew my time frame was short. I didn't know I knew I didn't have enough time to get from the from the entrance to the playground to the cloakroom to put this thing in, to put the toy in my bag. So I knew as far as I'm going to be able to get was the trays. Do you remember the trays you used to have in reception?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's as far as I knew I could get in the time frame I had. So I had to stash it in my tray, stuck it right at the back, and then went back to the playground, and I actually got caught by the teacher on the way back out with my mate. Well, the teacher and my mate were coming back out, and she caught me, and she was like, what are you doing inside? And I told her, oh no, I was just looking for my mate, and she bought it. So it was all good, no red flags, no one was alerted.
Imbecile.
Yeah, it wasn't like anybody. We went back outside, dinner ended, we were playing, dinner ended, end of the day came. So we're at the end of the day. Everyone's getting the coats on, but I knew the toy was still in my tray. It was still in there, and I was trying to think oh man, what am I going to do now? So I devised I don't want to say plan B, kind of plan A DLC, maybe. It's an add-on to my original plan. So I don't know how reception worked for you guys, right? But the teacher would for us would stand at the door and only let you out once we saw our parents and pointed them out to her. Yeah. So this is what I did, right? I waited. I waited until there was only a few kids left, but enough that the teacher would still be distracted by sending them out. And I set my plan into motion, right? So I pointed out my nan to the teacher, and just as I stepped through the door to leave, I turned around and said, "Oh, I've left something in my tray." So with my bag on my bag on my back and my coat over my arm, I ran over to my tray, slipped the toy under my coat, and made a prompt exit. And I quite literally took it under her nose, and she didn't even question what I went back from my tray for. That was it. I got away with it.
That's amazing.
That is the face of a little shit right there.
I know. Haha, it gets better, don't you worry. So the best part is the teachers. So
was this just the start of your life of crime? More and more toys started going missing.
Yeah, no, the teachers actually noticed that the toy was gone, right, and brought the whole year together to ask us who took it.
Oh my god!
Sorry,
how did teachers realise that one of the biker mice from Mars was gone?
Why did they care?
But no, they brought us all together in this room, and they did that thing that teachers do, where they said if someone owns up and returns it, they won't be punished, but if no one owns up, the whole year loses the break time. Yeah. So, but I knew I was sat there in that moment, and I was like,
small price to pay.
I didn't say, oh fuck, because I was in reception, but I was like, oh gosh, this is a situation, isn't it, But I knew in that moment that I was never going to own up to this. That was it. I was never going to own up to it. So, So just before we were about to lose our break, someone else did actually own up to it.
No.
But because the person couldn't return it to the teachers, that person lost the break while the rest of us went out.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah, so...
That hero! Wow,
someone
taking the
pulled
fall.
Fucking Spartacus for you. That's incredible!
Yeah, he took it. And again, I was, Yes. So we all went out, right? And, because this person... Wait, hold on. Where are we up to? Yeah. So, because he said he lost it at home, and he couldn't return it, they said that, he'd lose his break. We all could go outside. And...
Is this where the guilt started to set in for you, Joe?
You'd think, right? So, as I was stood there enjoying my break, right, and I looked through the window and see this poor soul who's been falsely accused and jailed for a crime he didn't commit. 5-year-old Joe looked at him and only knew one thing. He had committed the perfect crime. I didn't stand there dramatically looking at him, but I was looking at him like, got away with this, me.
That's incredible. Oh my God.
Do you know what you should have done? If you'd have gone to that, obviously you probably wouldn't have thought of this, but like, if you'd have gone to that kid's birthday party, you should have given him a biker mice from Mars for his birthday as like a...
Just giving him like a little wink and be like, you know.
The question now is that, since you put this poor soul through some life-changing trauma and affected the way they see the world forever, are you still in possession of that biker mouse from Mars, or did you just get rid of it?
He went to a car boot.
I have not seen that action figure in actual years. Like, I'm pretty sure...
Which one was it? There was like a small brown one, a small white one, and like a big one, wasn't there? The 3 biker mice.
It was one that had like a black, like vest over the top, and he had like green goggles and like like an ascot thing.
Okay, yeah, I found it.
I remember that. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you remember you don't have to say it, but do you remember who the kid was? Like, do you remember his name?
No.
I
actually don't. I don't. It was someone who... Because this was reception, but our reception was attached to... maybe y'all are, but our reception was attached to the school which we then went to. And I'm pretty sure this person... They might have gone to the same... They might have stayed in the primary, but I think they went to a different high school to me.
It would have been funny if you messaged him during this episode and been like, "Sup, dude, gotta tell you something."
Remember reception when you you got accused.
I've got to tell you something, but actually, why don't you wait for the episode to come out and then listen to what I've got to tell you?
That would be funny.
Just keep it hanging on.
Oh man.
So
but I mean,
that guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my God, it's not even nice.
That's the exact figure right there.
Why? What?
That was horrible.
I just wanted it, you know what I mean? And I took it, and it wasn't the only theft I committed in reception, but I will.
You've got the taste for it.
It will please you to know.
If you want it now, Joe, it would set you back £5 on eBay.
Man. I'll go to someone's house and nick it again. It'd be fine. I'm not allowed to pay for that figure. No, it's okay. It's okay because I did commit a few minor thefts here and there. But, I gave it all up when I went to the big boy school, so it's all good. It's all
You're
good.
A changed man.
I am. I then started, doing other stuff that got the teacher to bring my mum in at the end of the day, but that's an entirely different thing. And there will be a Netflix documentary about this whole process, about the guy who was falsely accused. There's a whole 7-part episode, don't even worry about it.
You should clarify what it wasn't, or else everyone's minds going, oh my God, he wrote on the, ceiling in poo or something.
Oh my God!
Unless that's what you did.
You should hire Bart Layton to do the docudrama. Of
like a mockumentary almost.
Oh, it's about animals as well, so I could call it English Animals.
What did you do to an animal to have your mum called in at the end of the day?
What?
No, I think he's referencing the biker mice.
No.
Okay, right. I was gonna say.
No.
He was talking about how he committed some sort of.
So's Jeffrey Dahmer.
Thing that got his mum to get called.
Oh no! It was in year 2. I can't remember what I did, but my mum got called in at the end of the day 6 times in that whole year because of stuff that I did. I don't know even what, but it was weird because it's when I went into year 3, something inside me was turned off, and that never happened ever again. I became a good boy. It's all good.
You're a little shit. I'd have hated you.
Well, when I have kids, I'm going to have to be the one to deal with the same type of people, so it's, Yeah, so the day after the failed robbery of the book, they attempt to do it again, but this time, no disguises. Warren and Eric will go into the library while Chaz waits outside in the van. With the doors open, engine running, classic heist stuff. Spencer is convinced to rejoin the crew as long as he can be on the adjacent building as lookout. So the general plan is, Warren goes into the special collections room alone, neutralizes the gooch, then calls Eric, who will come up, help load the books. Then they will take the books down the staff lift, because we're in England, staff lift, go through the basement and out the back door. They pick up Spencer, and they're going to drive the books straight to New York, where they're going to have them authenticated before the pieces are put onto the database for stolen art. I hope that's a real thing. I assume it must be a real thing.
They have with cars, don't they?
Yeah.
So they must do with art.
But yeah, everything starts out great. Warren goes up to the room and, only the gooch is there as it's planned. He goes in, all the books are out, they're on display for him, but there's a problem. Can't bring himself to do it, can't bring himself to taser the gooch, unfortunately.
This bit, literally heart in my mouth tension. Honestly, this movie does so much with so little. Just those little shots of her looking around and revealing a little bit more of her neck. And I'm like, is he going to do it? I can't do it. And then you cut away and you get the shots of everyone waiting. And I was like, I couldn't. I was physically agitated. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Really
if the scene before had you on edge, this one, you're going to be on the bloody floor. Just kind of it's crazy. But yeah, so, he looks at her, and it tricks you into... I love that it tricks you into thinking he's done it, because he gets the phone call from Eric, and he goes up and he sees it, but then it reveals she's still unneutralized, and it's so tense. But then as soon as he goes in, and he does it straight away, and it comes out of nowhere, and he's sweating and shit. It's insane. You're tense the whole scene, and they're proper panicked, and you get the Birds of America wrapped in that cloth, and they head down the staff lift, only to find that there's no exit in the basement. I don't understand where... I mean, they must have done some level of planning or something to think there was an exit.
Maybe
I don't go to a
maybe
basement.
It's not that there was not an exit, it's just that it was pitch black and they couldn't find it.
True.
Yeah,
true.
for out sheer panic,
they were clearly panicked. I think it's a really well put together little sequence, because when they're doing, they do the fake Ocean's 11's one, and Spencer tases the gooch, and she goes straight down. But that's not what happens. Is he tases her, but she's
gone worse.
She's she's panicking, she's struggling. It's really visceral and real and horrible, and they're shouting and screaming. So I think by the time they just got down there, especially because the lift, they pressed the wrong button first. So there's the second, of the library seeing them and then closing. So they're so stressed.
It's the thing for me is the thing that I was really stressed about, especially the bit where they were restraining the librarian, was there was a bit where when he was looking, he had to get the key off her chest, and she just looked him in the eye, and she got such a good look at him that she would have been able to see his face full on. That's the bit that stressed me out the most, because I'm it's the look she gives him. She just pauses from restraining for a minute to look at him, and I'm no, stop, put a mask on or something, Jesus Christ. It's insane. But yeah, anyway, they go down, don't they? They're panicking in the basement, and they realise they're out of options, so they realise they're forced to just run through the first floor of the library in front of everyone. So they get off the lift, and straight away everyone sees them. They're full view. Another librarian runs off to, I assume, phone the police straight away. Everyone's getting out the seats and walking away or whatever. They're probably not even on that floor for a minute. And in that minute,
big nope.
Yeah, so much. The plan just kind of takes a nosedive in that minute. It's ridiculous. And then so they carry the books into the emergency stairwell, and they end up dropping the books down the stairs.
That frustrated me so much.
Yeah,
they dropped it, and I was like, "Fuck no!" Because I mean, I know they're stealing something, but a part of me kind of wanted them to get away with it a bit, because you You kind of do, don't you?
You get into it in the same way that they do. I think this is the thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's clear that they're not bad guys and they weren't bad kids. It's this idea that when you're at that stage in your life, and they say it a little bit, like you're just waiting for something to happen, something to come along, and the idea of pulling off a heist it's quite romantic. You know, it's a really cool thing. So I can totally understand buying into it.
It's
and you
the
do
thought
watching
of
the movie.
Like, what if you actually got away with it, kind of thing? You know?
Yeah.
Like, if I did something this mad, I'd be constantly on edge, afraid of, like, I'm going to get caught all the time, you know what I mean? But I suppose there must be some kind of feeling that you get when you get away with it. I don't know. But obviously they drop the books, don't they? And then, you know, they just bail on it. They bail on the books, they leave them where they are. They run for the car. And... Is it Warren that gets hit by the car? One of them gets hit by the car, don't they? While
Warren gets hit.
He gets hit by the car, and they're all panicked, and they're all trying to, like, figure out, you know, what to do. And it turns out that even though they don't have the Birds of America books, they do have... is it a Darwin? Or...
It's a Darwin.
Is it a Darwin? Yeah.
Yeah.
It turns out Eric put a few books in his bag, so they do have something. So, you know, they rush off to New York to get them authenticated, and... the issue when they get there is, you know, the books are fine, everything's going well, but then the only guy who can, you know, authorize a certificate of authenticity is out of town. He only returns the following day. And as the last nail in the coffin, they agree to have the man phone them when he's back, and Spencer gives the gallery his personal phone number, like a twat. What? I don't understand. I get that you need to give them something, but you gotta know that not to give them your personal... I don't know what you'd give them, but just an email or something, you know what I mean?
But again, though, like these aren't professional thieves. These are kids.
I know, but...
You know?
Like, you just... When he says about the phone call and they ring it and it's his voicemail, you just roll your eyes. You're like, oh, Spencer, you dickhead! Why? Oh, but anyway, you know, they all go about the lives... You know, knowing that their capture is imminent. Oh man. And they all go on. You know, they like I like there's that little bit, isn't there, where they kind of do little acts of like self-sabotage. So like Eric is like sitting in a bar thinking about what he's done, and he ends up punching someone and gets beaten up. Spencer crashes his car while he's distracted about it, and then Warren like craves the thrill of the chase, I guess, and he attempts to steal that like pizza thing from the supermarket and like throws up when the security guard gives up like right out the door, and he's really pissed off at him. He kicks that car and everything, but obviously the inevitable happens. The FBI show up and arrest all of them, and they're each sentenced to 7 years in federal prison. And we kind of get an indication, don't we, of how they caught him, because Spencer phones up Warren. He's like, oh, there's this and this, and we use the same email, and he's like, don't worry about it. But I'm going to assume that that's the actual reason they got caught.
I think there's so much that they forget about or don't think about. In a way, it's quite impressive that they were getting away with it for us. Like, even to get to New York in the first place, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like, they fucked up so much. Like, they were wearing gloves to begin with, but then trying to get duct tape, they just rip them and all their fingerprints are everywhere. That's fucked. Like, they bailed the first time so quickly because something wasn't going right, because there were just some people in that room. This time, he doesn't want to tase, like, the gooch. And he's like, rather than bailing, he's like, no, we're gonna do this, rather than...
It's because it's like he's so desperate to do so, because he loses his scholarship, doesn't he? Because he's not, like, attending. Like, Warren loses his scholarship, so... It's like he's so desperate to do something that he's just gonna do it as sloppily as possible, and it's just that's it, isn't it? That's the downfall of a good heist, I guess.
Sloppily nooching the gooch. You get it wrong.
Big sad. But then the film, right? Where other films would end with them getting arrested, the film throws a little bit of a curveball here at the end. It suggests that Warren actually tricked the other guys into thinking there was a fence. And
I love that.
The real kind of Spencer tells us that the only version of the guy they met in New York was the version that Warren described to him, and the only memories he has of Warren's trip to Amsterdam is dropping him off at the airport, and there's no actual proof that Warren did actually go. And then Chaz literally says to us, that he doesn't even believe that Warren's story is real. That he... Hold on. Yeah. Made it so, yeah. And, it's the whole thing's, pretty mad, I like the idea that when you think about the actual stuff with the fence, going to New York to meet this guy, then going to Amsterdam to talk to him and having, a meeting or whatever... It is pretty kind of Hollywood movie stuff when you think about it.
Yeah.
And literally in the scene before he goes about finding out about a fence, we literally see a scene where Warren is inside a Hollywood movie, in that scene where they're planning it, and it literally puts him in the Hollywood movies, and then in the next bit, he comes up with the idea of the fence. So I think that's quite interesting. But then Warren, tells us at the end of the film that, people do certain things because they think it's going to make them special. But no one, in fact, is special, apparently. So, the film kind of ends on that idea, doesn't it? Did Warren make up the story of the fence to kind of trick his mates into going through with it? That's the real question, isn't it? And that was American Animals.
I really like the way they do the cliched "where are they now" thing. Even that's creative, where you get the camera to pull out and watch them walk off. So you watch, Shaz is in a gym because he's a personal instructor. Warren's in a college because he's studying filmmaking. All that kind of stuff. It's really, it's a really cool way that it all wraps up and ends.
I kind of like the thing with Eric. I was like, when I saw the transcript for the book on the table, I initially thought that it was the script for the film, and that he was when he wrote it. But no, it's weird because the book came out after the film did, which is really strange. And it's called American Animals, a memoir, but I assume he must have worked. They must Bart, Layton, and Eric. What's his name? Eric. I'm just gonna say Eric. They must have worked together, and it must be kind of loosely based on his memoir. It's not told
sometimes books are picked up for movie rights before they have, are even close to coming out, just so that someone has, just so that they've locked it. They might not even ever intend to make something out of it, but just so that it is locked. So it was probably a case of Film 4 just being like, right, no, we're having that, and then working it out, as and when.
But yeah. American Animals.
Nice. So what we're going to do now is go around in a circle, give any final thoughts we have in a movie, and each individually give it a score out of 10. And then I'm going to use maths to get the objective score out of 100 and see where it ranks on our list of the best to worst movies. Amelia starts off. I'm
going to really struggle to rate this because I don't want it to fall in that bracket where we have to compare all the movies. But do you know what I mean? It's something I wouldn't typically go, I'd scroll past this probably normally. I'm just not, because heist films and all this, they're just not something I tend to watch. So I'm quite glad, you made me watch it, to be fair. Yeah, it was good. I really liked, what you said, the back and forth between real life and interviews. I think that's where a documentary can be a bit dry, is where you just sat watching people talk. That could be really boring. So yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. And I'm really struggling of what to give this, because I don't want to give it that bracket, but I'm gonna give it an 8.
8. Cool.
Oh God.
Jacob.
I like this too. As heist movies go, I wouldn't say it's a tremendous heist movie, but then again, there's a lot of heist movies that aren't that good a heist movie.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of that I enjoy every time is Ocean's 11. Just because it's just so it's so satisfying to watch. This was the opposite of that. I think was always the intention. It wasn't satisfying to watch. It was really uncomfortable when they start fucking it up and getting it wrong. But I like the fact that it was interviews sprinkled in, because someone could have made this story just as a movie, but I think it wouldn't have been as interesting if it didn't have the little interviews sprinkled in and the true facts from other people's perspectives and some of the clever camera tricks between the real person and the actors. So I think that made it more interesting to me than just another heist movie. I think I'm gonna go with a 9.
9. Cool. Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. Just straight up, because I agree with you, Jacob. Like, this, I find that heist films are that kind of genre where I feel like there must be people who really like them, but I'm kind of hit and miss with them. I'll watch some of them if I'm in like a heist film kind of mood, which I apparently was at 5 a.m. while watching this film, and I watched it, just kind of like, yeah, all right, fair enough. I'll watch it. It's a heist film. Heist films can be good, they can be bad. But with this one, I think it's purposely, I don't know, it's kind of like what you said, Jacob, well, with Ocean's 11 is like perfectly thingy, it all like works perfectly, and they're all really skilled or whatever. And this kind of uses that and kind of be like, in real life, it's just, people just fuck everything up. And I love how tense, like, it gave me this feeling that I would probably actually have been in this situation. Kind of actually in that room, kind of like,
yeah.
Even anything could, the whole thing could be completely mapped out, planned, but the smallest thing could go wrong and it could mess the entire thing up. And I love that kind of realism is in, that's what the point of the whole film is. And I love that they kind of trick you into things. They do the day of the heist, and it uses the beginning bit, and you think, oh, this is it, this is the day where they're going to get away with it. And it just fucks up straight away. And it's like, oh, right, is there a heist? Because, I never even heard of this. I didn't even realise it was a real thing, yeah. And like, Jacob, you said you like the idea of seeing the real people and stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I watched like a biopic. I did a bit of a Google afterwards to see what's actually, true, what's not true, things like that. So to have the actual people in there as well, it saved me a Google. So, there you go, a 9.
9. Excellent. Yeah, I loved this. It's same with what you said, Amelia, that this is not the sort of thing I ever would have picked. I wouldn't have paid it any attention. One of the reasons that I wanted to start this show in the first place was because I was watching very much the same types of movie over and over again, and I wanted that to change. So I want to thank you very much, Joe, for introducing me to something that is like now something I really, really like, really love. It's so well made. It's so well edited. The shot compositions are really good. The music is like a little bit generic, but it works, does its job. The cast is excellent. The trick of melding the real life characters, actually bringing them in, like the shot of real life Spencer watching the car drive forward as they're preparing to do it the first time, it's really good. It's really effective. I think, I don't know, I love this. It's so creative and it's so interesting, and despite the fact that like I knew they went through with it because the movie was being made, there was so many times where I was like, no, just leave, just leave, don't do it, it's fine, just get out. Like, I was pleading with the screen. Yes, this is very, very endearing. I think I'm going to give it a 10. I don't know if that's recency bias because I've watched it quite recently, but oh my god, I loved it. So that is going to give us an overall score out of an overall score of 90 out of 100, placing it as the 3rd greatest movie of all time.
Yeah, see.
Good job, Joe.
Not bad.
I think since this is one of the movies that like none of us had heard of, and I've never met anyone who's mentioned it before, I think this is the one where I can so sincerely say, if you've not watched the movie and you've made it to this part in the video, despite the fact that you now know everything, please go and watch it. Like, I fully recommend. It's so good. It's on Amazon Prime. Go and check it out. So that brings us to the most important part of the show, and that's finding out what we're going to be watching next week. So it's my turn. So I kind of maybe wanted to try and stick with the line of picking something that I wouldn't watch, but then I remembered a movie that is very much something that I would want, and I've wanted to watch for a long time, but just for whatever reason, I've never got around to seeing it. I've heard very good things about it. I want to watch Dread.
Oh, what a film.
This is Zach's favourite film. To the point where above his computer is Carl Urban, right? Yeah, is a
not
poster
the
from that.
not the Sly Stallone
Just
one,
checking.
the Carl Urban one. Yeah.
So I will have to sit in that room to do that one. Show off that
Excellent.
artwork. Great.
Judge Dredd's fucking well cool. I've read a couple of his comics. I've never got around to watching the movie, but I heard very good things about it. So, cool. Thank you very much for watching this episode on American Animals. Let us know what you think of the show and the movie and the comics down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Make sure to follow us on all your favorite podcasting apps by searching for the Outtakes Movie Podcast. Or, if you've been listening to us, do the same on the YouTube. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter by searching for The Real Outtakes. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.